It's different in all cases with us because we write the music together. So sometimes it'll be something that John Petrucci came in with, and I'll try different approaches underneath. Sometimes it's something, you know, that I had, you know, a different odd time signature groove or a tempo change, and those guys, it's just sort of like we write with like a chain reaction sort of mentality. Any, you know, one thing inspires the next, and somebody will lay something on top of my thing, and then it connects and inspires something else, and then, you know, we just try a million different ways, so it's different in every case. Anyway.
Did you take any lessons? And if you did,
I didn't really take lessons. When I started out, I took a couple lessons just to, you know, figure out how to sit down behind a kid and what to do and how to gain some independence and coordination. But for the most part, I learned just from listening to records. This is drums, you know, mainly just listening to like a lot of old Rush albums and Zappa albums and tearing the stuff apart and just analyzing it and trying to take it all in. You know, that was basically how I learned the drums, but when I got serious, I really wanted to learn, whoa! I wanted to learn more than just drums. I wanted to really learn about music, so I really got involved. I mean, I took a lot of music theory classes. And when I went to Berkeley, we were taking classes, you know, ear training and arranging and harmony and all this weird kind of stuff, but it really helped ground me as a musician, which is something I use every day in this band because I get to step out from that typical drummer stereotype and I get to really be involved with the writing and the creative side. And because of that training I had with the theory classes and stuff, gives me a vocabulary to be able to communicate with the other guys. You know, I know key signatures and modes and scales and all that kind of stuff, so it really helps with my communication with those guys when we're writing. But so far as the drums go, I'm primarily self-taught. You know, I took some drum lessons and stuff like that in school, and I'm not against it. It's just that I really got a lot more pleasure learning stuff off of other drummers, you know, being open-minded and, you know, listening to a Return to Forever record, and then listening to a Yes record, and then listening to a Metallica record, and trying to take it all in and figure out what they were doing. And, you know, the more you take in, the more you'll be able to really go down these different avenues and be kind of well-rounded. Hi.
Do you put some time in each day for practicing outside of the music of the band?
Well, it's very tough these days because I'm in a band that does a lot of touring. So it's not like the good old days when, you know, my drums were set up at my house and I could just sit down and play for 5 hours. You know, I did that for years and years and years, but now it's kind of different because I'm touring a lot. The only time I get behind my drums is at sound check and for the actual gig. And the actual gig, you know, I have a set curriculum of what I have to play. So I get to really jam on the drums a lot at sound check, and we do a lot of jamming and writing at sound check whenever possible. But for the most part, my practice these days are done on a practice pad kit in the dressing room before the shows. But the beauty about us drummers is that our instrument is really always on us. I mean, we're not walking around attached to a big drum set and cymbals, but basically, I mean, this is our instrument, but the tools that we play this instrument with is our 2 hands and our 2 feet, which are always attached to you. So, you know, a guitar player can't sit at the dinner table and come up with these licks and stuff like that, but drummers can. You know, I'm constantly fidgeting. If I'm sitting at the dinner table and tapping, I'll be coming up with things, or you know, if I'm sitting on the toilet, you know, you can still practice. You know, I play air drums, and you know, so that's how I do most of my practicing these days, on the toilet. I have really good acoustics in my bathroom. Huh?
The other throne.
Yeah. Hi.
How long did how long does it usually take to write a trilogy song, like, for instance, the Erotomania kind of 3-part song? Like, how long would it take to really put that all together?
It's different. I mean, every song we've written has been very, very different. For the most part, like I said, we do it all together in a practice room. Sometimes the inspiration just comes and it's like boom, boom, boom. Other times we have like writer's blocks. I mean, Metropolis took a whole summer, the whole summer of '89 to write, you know.
And you just usually jam, or do you actually work each part out? Like,
We were, well, okay, the Mind Beside Itself trilogy is a good example of 3 different ways that we write. the first half, Erotomania, the instrumental, primarily was written on the road for Images and Words. I tape all of our sound checks and rehearsals and stuff, so we constantly have like ideas brewing and stuff. So when it came time to write, I dug out all my DATs and all these different ideas, and a lot of the stuff in Erotomania were just various ideas. Because it was an instrumental, we could really just go for it. There didn't have to be too much structure or form to it. So being an instrumental, we sort of just took all these different ideas that we had from the road and different writing sessions, and we threw it all in there. So that was one way that we write, and that was that song. Then Voices, the second part of that trilogy, was written completely spontaneously. We had no idea where we were going to go, where it was, what was going to happen. So that was sort of just like a color by numbers writing process, which is the way it usually is. And then the third part of that, The Silent Man, was something that John had written, just it's acoustic guitar piece. So it was a quick 3-minute piece that he had, and we decided, we'd like to incorporate those three together and have different elements from each of the three intertwined within the other songs. So.
And when you recorded it, you recorded it all in one straight thing, right?
When we record, first of all, I do all the drums first, with the other guys in the room playing with me. But my drums are the only ones that are actually staying on tape. It's the only things that are being kept for the record, and everything else is just a guide track, and all the guitars and the keyboards and the bass. So we'll do the drums first, then the guitars. They start overdubbing all that stuff on top of my drums. But some of the long songs, like A Mind Beside Itself, or the new thing, A Change of Seasons, which is like 23 minutes, it's ones like that we had to record in pieces, especially because there's parts of it, like A Mind Beside Itself, the end of Erotomania, the beginning of Voices, there's really no drums, it's just like free time with a little bass solo. So what we had to do was record one and then just go for this little jam thing, this little moody thing, and then stop recording, and then start again, find a new click track. We try to use a click track whenever possible in the studio. So we would have to punch in a new click track for the new part, and then punch the whole thing in. So a lot of these songs, when they're this complex, we have to start and stop, which is cool for me because, I don't have that pressure of doing it all in one take. But the shorter songs I usually do in one take. Anything else? No? Okay, what I want to do here is actually, okay, hi. Oh, we're going to do Metropolis Part 2. Yeah, eventually. I'd like to do it for the next record, but it depends, but we'll eventually do one. Next time we want to really blow our load, Hi. What's that?
What sound do you use for click track? Do you program the odd times into the click track?
Yeah, in the studio. You asked about what sounds do I use for a click track in the studio? Usually it's something very, very loud and obnoxious because I'm slowly going deaf. So usually like a cowbell or a rim shot or something like that. And we program the odd time signatures. Like I said, it's hard with this many tempo changes and odd time signature changes. It's hard to use a click for all of it, but we try to whenever possible because a record is forever. So we want it to be as precise and perfect as possible. And sometimes it's tough. Sometimes we'll actually program the tempo changes. When using a click track and odd time signatures, if you're playing in something that's a denominator of 4, like a 5/4 or a 4/4, then you could just program the click, 2, 3, 4, like. Then I take that same rhythm and then go into a 16th note. So what they're doing is constant. Then I wanted to turn it around so it was like. And the only way to make that work was to actually yank off the 16th note. So there's a fill right before that, which is I think in 15/16 or something like that, because we had to do 1 16th note less, and it eventually turns around into that. So that was just something, trying to get creative with rhythm, But their parts are constant,
Little Metropolis.
Okay, okay, well, yeah, I'll play a little bit of Metropolis. Somebody asked me about that before. Huh?
12/8 and 5/8.
Well, the whole beginning is,
The end of the middle section.
The end of the middle section. Okay, well I'll play the whole middle of Metropolis. It starts off with something that's in, once again, 6 and 7, alternating back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I start off just phrasing it like. Then I take that same thing on top and do a different phrasing. Then the third time, which is still under the same time signature, I go. So let me play, I'll play the whole middle section here, so everybody sing along.
All right. Smile.
Everybody catch that? notes are supposed to be. The main kicks are supposed to be with the kick and whatever cymbal I'm using, and the snare is just like filling in the little gaps. Well, on the album, because I had a trigger on the snare drum, it came out like. So everything seems backwards, and it's like, so if it sounds that way, and if it sounds weird and you can't figure it out, that's why, because it's supposed to be, but it's actually, so everything's backwards and it's kind of strange. But that wasn't intentional. Any questions? That was, first of all, it's in 4. A lot of people think it's in a weird time signature, but because we're not actually, every other measure, we're not hitting the downbeat. So it sort of feels kind of weird. Like, that ba-bam is actually on the upbeat, so it kind of feels strange. But that's basically the rhythm. It was just a strange syncopated rhythm that we came up with. And it took a little while to get it down. We wrote it down on the blackboard, but that's basically the rhythm. And actually, that's the second time. The first time, those guys are playing that rhythm, and I'm doing a little bit of a drum solo on top of it, and that was basically just improvising. And then after improvising it in the studio, I had to learn it, but it's... That's going on underneath that. There you have it. Actually, that kind of, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, can you do the under last mean part? The digga 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 right before the chord?
Well, basically, it's starting off with just these cool double bass patterns, double bass and snare patterns. Yeah, actually that's something that I use all the time, or patterns, these syncopated things between the kick drums and the snare. Like, I mean, I do that stuff all the time in my solos. Under Glass Moon, the lick in Pull Me Under before the last chorus,